week off for Toronto FC, meaning we have no games to talk about on today's edition of Waking the Red Weekly, presented by Footy Talks. But have no fear, we still have quite the show ahead for you. Shortly here, we will be joined by undoubtedly the biggest guest we've had yet, as MLS legend and former Toronto FC star Dwayne De Rosario joins us to discuss a number of different topics, including his nomination for the MLS 25 Greatest. Speaking of nominations, we'll also talk about the Mls Awards a little bit, as well as some other international break tidbits. As always, feel free to reach out, ask questions, make comments wherever you are watching the show today. But without further ado, my name is Mitchell Tierney. Jeff, Michael, how are you guys doing this week?
Good. Not a lot of football to watch, so it's been weird, but I've been catching up on F1 documentaries on Netflix, so yay.
There you go. I mean, I think the Euro qualifiers were incredibly exciting, but the second those were done, I mean, it's felt like quite a pause here. But as I said, we do have. Yeah. No, go ahead.
Yeah, Mitch. Yeah, no, I'm doing all right, man. It's kind of weird, as Jeff said. It's an international break, but we were kind of in like a 4-month international break, kind of before this whole MLS is back kind of got started. So we're a little spoiled here. So I think we can make it through here. We got a couple more days to go.
Yep. I'm jonesing though. Want my soccer now.
Well, let's kick things off here with some awards talk. 3 Toronto FC personnel nominated for major awards. We'll give a quick shout out to Ayo Akinola as well for finishing 4th in the MLS Young Player of the Year voting. An award I think rightly won by Diego Rossi of LAFC. The categories for that were a little funny, but if you look by the criteria, I think Rossi's the best player, certainly in MLS under 22. Rossi, of course, also nominated for the Landon Donovan MLS MVP award, alongside, of course, Toronto FC's Alejandro Pozuelo, Andre Blake of Philly, and Nicholas Lodeiro and Jordan Morris of the Sounders. For me, I mean, I had Pozuelo as my MVP. I think if you look at what most valuable player as a category means, I mean, Toronto FC is not where they are this season without Alejandro Pozuelo, and I think Sounders guys probably split the vote. Blake was good, but there's some other Philly guys who have shouts as well. What are you guys' thoughts on the MVP award?
It's never going to a goalkeeper, so why is Blake there? I mean, he's had a great season, but it's never ever going to a goalkeeper in our lifetimes. It's pauses to lose. Certainly there's a concern that his form dipped in the last weeks of the season, so that recency bias may affect voting. But generally across the interwebs, the general consensus is that come the time that the final votes are tabulated, it will be pauses to take home.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if it wasn't. As you mentioned there, like Andre Blake's a goalkeeper, and I think he's really the only other Eastern Conference competitor that Pause has for this award. And then the Western guys, I think a lot of those guys are going to split the vote just because there are 3 really, really good players there. So based on what I've seen, I know Pause has a good spot here. He had my vote, and we'll see.
It is wacky though, because didn't Jim Curtin win the Coach of the Year?
By far, by a long shot.
By a long shot, and I didn't think Vanny was going to win, but I thought Oscar Pereira in Orlando was a lock.
Sorry, it was actually close between him and Pereira. Let me correct myself there. Jim Curtin, I'll tell you how much. He received 43.6% of the final vote. Oscar Pereira, 24%. So I guess it wasn't the closest, but we've seen bigger margins. What I was really surprised about was Greg Vanny. He got 4.74% of the vote. And he really made a case for himself, and we understood why. Greg Vanny should deserve a little bit more leeway than perhaps some of these other guys, because TFC have obviously had to navigate some unique obstacles and still find themselves in this position. But I think that 4.74% number is a tad low for me. I don't know. What do you guys think?
It's crazy low, and it also fills me with a certain dread leading up to Pause's coronation as MVP, because it shows that recency bias really does play a part. So, Jim Curtin takes the Supporters Shield, and then he takes Coach of the Year. Greg, when he won his Coach of the Year, it was off the back of a treble. So,
results speak.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, no, I certainly had Vanny on my ballot. I won't say where, but he was on my ballot. I'll just say I think Jim Curtin is deserving of MLS Coach of the Year. But
I do agree.
yeah,
Over Perea in Orlando, I disagree.
What's the argument? Talk to me.
mhm.
Orlando was a screaming tire fire, and they've leveled up like exponentially this year. I mean,
What about the Union?
Pardon?
What about the Union?
It's been more of a slow and steady.
Okay. No.
ascent.
Hold on. I'll go back, and
Let's
I think
go
we can go
a
back
little
to like
bit.
episode 2, episode 3. I'll pull the tape where
Mhm.
you said we were facing the Philadelphian or something like that, and you said that you want to face that team because Brendan Erickson had a bunch of transfer rumors, there are a bunch of things swirling around.
I remember
how's the
saying
team gonna
that. No,
handle that?
I do.
There's more than just reason to give Philadelphia Union. They have the best points per game in their club history, better than Toronto FC's
Mhm.
2017 team. They've allowed the least goals in all of MLS. Year after year, they improve. If we're saying Orlando did the most with the least, I can hear that, but at the same time, you got to give credit where credit's due when the results speak for themselves.
Well, absolutely, credit where credit is due. But it's interesting that, Oh, I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
No worries. Well, I think Coach
I'll
of the Year.
figure it out later. Mhm.
Yeah, Coach of the Year awards in general in sports. I think an issue with it is people always tend to just vote for the guy who kind of made their team overachieve versus maybe the best coach. And I think again, I don't think that slow build is a knock against Jim Curtin. I think that's exactly what you want your coach to be able to do, is build a program that's sustainable, that slowly gets better year over year, and that eventually reaches the heights that Jim Curtin's been able to get this Philadelphia Union team to, which is a supporters shield and a heavy MLS Cup contender as well. So I really like that Jim Curtin won the award.
I remember what I was going to say. It seems that this vote is mutually exclusive from the way that the votes usually go, which is recency bias and stats and stuff like that. Jim Curtin's winning for a slower body of work, plus the supporter shield, over Oscar Perea, just setting fire to the Orlando organization and rebuilding it in a really profound way and in a very shorter amount of time. So it's just an interesting wrinkle to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we should mention, of course, the final award, which is Justin Morrow nominated for the MLS Works Humanitarian of the Year award alongside Jeremy Abobasi of Portland Timbers and Canadian Mark Anthony Kay of LAFC. I mean, I think, again, he was top of my ballot. Justin Morrow, incredibly deserving for all the work he's done this year.
Absolutely. I think it's a shoe-in.
For sure. I mean, what Justin Morrow does off the field is 10 times more impressive what anybody has done on the field this season. And for him to actually be able to, still have a decent season, and when he is in the lineup, perform the way he is, on top of being able to do everything he has been off the field, especially when it comes to like the Black Lives Matter movement and everything like that. It's just, it's so impressive, and I can't have enough good words about Justin Morrow. And I saw there was a little bit of someone taking a run at Justin Morrow, and Eric G came to his defense, posting that Twitter picture with him just ripped, shredded.
Wow.
There's zero Justin Morrow slander allowed on TFC Live. Come on, guys. Come on.
Yeah. He called him out of shape or something, and the man's built like a Greek god. He has like 0.0% body fat. So.
Yeah, can confirm Morrow, one of the most jacked players on Toronto FC, certainly. But it sounds like our guest is here, so let's bring him in whenever he is ready here. We are talking
Special
about
one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Very, very excited for this one, certainly. We are talking, of course, about MLS awards in general. Oh, it looks like he was in and out there. But one of the wrinkles with MLS awards this year, as this was the 25th season of MLS existence, is the MLS 25, where they're looking at the greatest 25 players in league history. They're going to honor them in the week leading up to MLS Cup. So we'll talk to Dwayne about that in a second here, and his nomination. Guys, I guess while we wait, your thoughts. Who are some of the guys who stand out to you in terms of great leaders in MLS and getting it to where it is today in terms of where it is a quarter of a century later?
Yeah, just on the note of Dwayne there. I mean, Dwayne Canada Soccer, Toronto FC before the names that we're seeing here. It's the MLS greatest 25. It's not the end all be all, but for him to be honored in that sort of, capacity, I think it would more than just because of the body work that he's put in before we know the game that we do know today. It wouldn't be the game that we know today without Dwayne De Rosario. And
100%.
Yeah, for sure. And there are some other TFC guys that made that nomination, but I'm happy that we got Dwayne on today to talk about this, because this is really significant, because he's one of the the very beginners of this TFC movement.
Yeah, absolutely. And by just about any metric, I mean, when you consider the success he had across at least 3 separate sides in MLS, I would call it verging on 2.0, because it wasn't quite the early the mid 90s MLS with the flowery big balloony jerseys and the run ups and the shootouts and the domination of like 1 or 2 sides. It was a bit more of a transitory league at the time, and what he was able to do in that kind of awkward teenage years of MLS can't be understated. It was some pretty fantastic stuff.
Yeah, cool. Shout out running shootouts. What a concept those were. But it seems like we are finally, after some technical difficulties, now joined by Canadian soccer and MLS legend Dwayne De Rosario. Dyro, thank you so much for taking the time today.
No problem. Thank you for having me on the show. I hope you guys can hear me clearly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, all good.
Nice.
Yeah, Dwayne. So we were just talking about it there a little bit. The MLS Greatest 25. How does it feel to kind of be nominated for that position, and what does that mean to you?
It's a huge honor just to be even recognized on that list of players. Being a Canadian and really trying to, like I said, a lot of these things we don't really realize how much impact it has beyond us. And hopefully it shines a brighter light on talent in Toronto and across Canada. And hopefully it motivates more Canadians to strive to be on that list one day as well.
Yeah, we were just talking about it a little bit there, Dwayne. You're obviously synonymous with Toronto FC, but you've also become synonymous not only with Canada Soccer, but also with the city of Toronto on its own. I remember just 2 years ago, I was just randomly at the BioSteel All-Canadian Basketball Charity Classic, and who's around? It's Dwayne De Rosario just supporting the city there. That just kind of shows just how involved you are in the city. And I hear you're doing a little bit more with your foundations. What's going on there? Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
On the basketball side of things, I really appreciate what BioSteel has been doing in terms of promoting young athletes. A lot of people don't know I was actually a big basketball player growing up and had to choose between basketball and soccer. So I have a great love and appreciation for basketball. Regarding my foundation, I started Dyro Foundation. We did it in 2007, where we went across all over Canada, US, and the Caribbean, hosting free clinics for inner city kids. We actually went to Quebec as well. And it was a great, impactful week of football, where we provided not only soccer, but we also provided health and nutrition, financial literacy, and the importance of bullying and teamwork. So it's the all-around approach. Right now we work in after city community in my hometown Scarborough, a community I grew up in, Malvern, where we do after school program for inner city kids. I was a product of inner city programming, so I know how important these programs are, especially to single parents, and providing a safe place where kids after school that don't have their parents at home could be in a safe, healthy, nurturing environment where they could learn and pick up a trade.
No, that's really important. I know you're doing a bunch more stuff that you're very excited to, share with us. One of those things that I did want to bring up too was those headphones that I saw. They look sweet, Dyro. I think we just lost them for just a second there.
I think we just lost
them. if we can just share these headphones, because you guys need to see that he's launching these, I think, before Chris. I'll let him talk about it, but you guys got to see these headphones because they are really, really nice.
Sorry, did I lose you guys?
Yeah, just for a second. I just want to ask you about your headphones that you're launching, because I was telling these guys they're pretty sweet. I like the design.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I want to ask you about the headphones that you're launching. I was telling these guys that the designer is pretty sweet. Can you just tell us a little bit about the headphones?
Man, it sounds choppy for some reason. I'm not sure what's going on. But
maybe someone else try asking that.
I think he needs his headphones. Mike wanted you to.
I have to put the headphones in.
No.
Is that what you're saying?
No. Oh no. Look, why
That's
did we
funny.
speak? Yeah.
That's
No.
funny.
Mike wanted you to talk about the headphones you're about to drop because they're beautiful.
We lost it for a second there, but
Yeah.
I don't know if we can share the screen for those headphones. They're really nice. If not, we will put them up on Waking the Red after, so you guys can see them. They haven't been officially, they're not being sold officially yet. But you guys can sign up for a pre-sale. You guys can get a discount. And those headphones are again sweet. Dyro, I'll let you talk about that a little bit. The headphones.
Just to talk a little bit about the headphones. Dyro headphones are partnered with a company called Crystal Clear Audio. And they approached me about doing a limited edition Dyro 14 headphones. Obviously growing up, big lover of music. Everywhere I went, all my teammates know I always was a music guy. Always had my headphones on before matches, after games. And one thing about music, it's truly, as Bob Murray said, when it hits you, feel no pain. And it truly could change your emotions. If you're sad, it can make you feel happy. If you're happy, it can make you feel sad. And music has that impact and that power. And I want to create, I want to bring my little flavor and my little touch. I love what the Marley Inspiration headphones inspired me. And I said, it would be nice to create kind of something of my own and something I like. And thankfully, Crystal Clear Audio, we partnered with them and created a very, very great sound quality. I wanted to make sure the quality and the sound was good in the headphones, and they checked all the boxes. And I really am happy to be partnered with a great company who understand the importance of sound and quality.
Yeah, tell me about it. I'm on my fifth pair of Bluetooth headphones because I've never really been impressed with the sound of any of them. I'm gonna change the tune a little bit, Dyro, and I'm gonna say, over the last 5 years, TFC has achieved a measure of success that I think we're all happy to see. As someone who's sort of watched TFC grow into something of a super club, I'm remiss to say super club fully. What do you think have been the biggest factors contributing to TFC's rise over the years?
Well, again, I'm taking little bits and pieces of what I hear, but I think you asked me what's been the biggest factor towards TFC's success.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, so one, I think having a steady team, right? When I was there, every year we had different guys, different personnel, and it's hard to build a chemistry when you're constantly changing the locker room. I think after, my era with after post of Foe, they finally kept a solid unit. I think one thing that's what Greg Vanney's done extremely well. He's kept the core group and just added additions around that core group. And it's proven successful. Their success to date I think pays a huge tribute because of that.
Excellent.
Yeah. Dyro, you have a book coming out next year as well, and a book tour to follow. Tell us about the book, and I'm certainly excited to learn more about your story and how you became the legend that you are today.
Yeah, I'm excited for this.
Me too.
Oh man, the book is coming out next year in May. You could actually buy your pre-orders right now. It's taken a long time. It's been a long time in the making. It's a lot of work, a lot of hours, a lot of sitting down. Thankfully, I was able to find someone that was not only passionate about the sport, but had a great appreciation for what I've been able to accomplish on my career, my journey. And I think Brendan Dunlop did a great job of capturing that.
Hey, that's a collab I'm excited about. Man,
yeah.
I didn't know Brendan had anything to do with that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and being a sports personality, he's already had a good understanding of the game. He's been a big fan, and I've been a fan of his, and it's just the connection was just perfect, and it was perfect timing. I wanted to start my book. He wanted to try a new adventure, and it kind of just came together at the right time, and we just put our minds together and just kept hammering away and meeting and talking about my story. I spoke a lot about my past, the reason who I am today, and some of the things that helped develop me in some of the communities, environments I grew up in. And I hope it could inspire, other young Canadians reading that book, that they too can make it regardless of what challenges, obstacles, or that are put in your way.
Right. Is there a segment or a piece of that book, a story that kind of stands out to you right now that you kind of sell to the fans? Maybe kind of give us a little insight there.
Sorry?
Is there a piece of the book that kind of stands out to you that you kind of recall off the top of your head? A story, perhaps?
You know what? I was very vulnerable. So I opened up a lot. Shared a lot about my life story. So in every chapter of the book, you'll find something that you probably never known about me or heard about me. So I tried to keep it as authentic. I wanted to be as, me and my story and my journey, coming from Scarborough and parents of Caribbean, Guyanese descent, and that journey of leaving their home to come to Scarborough and in a hockey country, not soccer, not getting the respect that I always thought it deserved, and always,
We lost in there for a sec, but I heard Caribbean, I heard Guyanese, and for me that's say less, because that's my background. So that's where I came from. So to hear this story is really cool.
Really,
just from
I really apologize. I really don't have too much control on the.
No, we get it.
Yeah, we got it.
It's 2020, Dwayne. We gotta deal with it. I was just saying. I come from the same sort of background, the same Caribbean Guyanese background. So I understand where you're coming from and why this is important. So just continue there, Dwayne.
Yeah. So to leave home, my parents to sacrifice to leave home to come here, and just that journey of what it was growing up in Scarborough in a hockey country and playing a sport that wasn't really the big sport in Canada.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, Dwayne, before we let you go here, I wanted to quickly ask about Jonathan Osorio, another hometown boy who, pulled the captain's armband a couple times on the season. I wanted to ask you about the growth you've seen in Oso as both a player and a leader in Toronto as well in Canadian soccer. Not sure if we got that.
No.
I think he's looking for those headphones for sure.
Yeah.
I think he's pull out a pair.
Driving through the midfield looking for his headphones.
Mm-hmm.
Never called a game before.
Hey, maybe he can mix in a shake and bake too.
Yeah.
Dyro, want to ask you about Ozo, Jonathan Osorio, and his kind of growth from where he kind of first started as a youngster to where he is now.
Oh,
close. I mean, we're close.
It looks like we
almost had him there.
We almost got him there. I was going to ask him for his PIN code next. So,
regardless, yeah, he's going to come back though.
Is he?
Maybe he got some better connection.
Oh my God!
I gotta walk around and try to find a connection here.
This is amazing! Wow, we're
social distance, Dyro.
Yeah. Be careful. Be careful. Watch your step. Like eyes on the ground. Don't want you tripping, and I don't want Footy Talks to be remembered as the show that ended Dyro.
So sweet. Yeah, Mitch had a question for you there. Mitch, go ahead.
Well, yeah. Before we let you go, we just wanted to ask you quickly about Jonathan Osorio. Just the development of him from where he started to kind of being that next Toronto guy to pull on the armband and lead this club.
From taking to where you asked, I think you said talk a little bit about my journey and how I got to where I am today, or
Sure.
Sure. Yeah.
It's close enough. Close enough.
Yeah.
No,
You're walking around the block, man. You can say whatever you like.
And going back to my book, it explains a lot about that. It explains a lot about my journey and, growing up in Scarborough and in a hockey country and be fighting ever since to try to put soccer on this map. And the talent that we have here, I think we're a country that in soccer, but so much other sports.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. It's 2020, guys. We gotta deal with what we deal with. Obviously, I'd like to thank Dyro for coming on.
Yes, and walking around the block.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
From what we did get there from Dyro, it was spectacular. Obviously, some great insight, and I just want to again emphasize the fact that he was nominated for the MLS greatest 25 players of all time.
Ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
And my opinion, he should be there for sure. Absolutely.
If he isn't, I'm going to riot. That's insane. If he doesn't, I wanted to ask him what his favorite goal was, but I'm sure we'll have another opportunity. I mean, that golden goal to win the MLS Cup for San Jose was absolutely wonderful, and I think I also remember a free header when he was playing for DC United that was unbelievable. It might have been his 100th goal or something like that, but I wanted to get some of my research points in.
Yeah, there were a couple of years in a row there where I think he won the MLS Goal of the Year. So I mean, from all levels of player who I think will be recognized among the MLS greatest of all time. I guess let's move on here to our next topic. Jeff, do you want to rant a little bit? We have nothing set in stone with your topic this week, but certainly an interesting tidbit for Canadian soccer.
Well, let's talk about the possibility that there won't be a Voyageurs Cup final because Hamilton may get TFC into into CONCACAF Champions League by virtue of their play in CONCACAF League. Once again, since it seems to be the trend of the episode, it's 2020. There's logistics that play into this beyond everything. There's logistics and there's the coronavirus. So if this match doesn't have to be played, it stinks, but them's the breaks. Do you know what I mean? I'd like to think there'll be more opportunities for TFC and Forge to line up in the future. It would be awful to not see this game. But let's be honest. I mean, if you can mitigate the risk, and it is a dead rubber game, I don't see a whole lot of positives for playing it just to play it. I'm wondering.
Silverware.
Well, no, I mean, at the
silverware.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like saying why they play the whole, the rest of the tournament. Why did they play I guess they both played regular seasons. I mean, that counted towards the cup, but still, I guess we can go ahead and wipe away the Voyageurs Cup in 2020. Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, I mean, if the end result beyond the silverware is to get into the CONCACAF Champions League, and both teams playing in the final are already in it,
is that the end all be all for you of the Canadian Championship?
No, it isn't. But it's 2020.
So, right. but that's what I'm saying. So there's other things that go into the Voyageurs Cup that beyond that Champions League spot. Absolutely. So for us to say, sit here and say that shouldn't take place, that kind of takes away from, all that, everything else that kind of goes into that. So
yeah, I'm not disputing that, but
yeah. It's a fair point. It's almost like the supporter shield debate all over again. We can go back into that.
And I'm on the other side.
I don't think we should go back into that, but I think the fair points. I don't know. I'd like to see it played, but I don't think there needs to be any sort of date or, especially again if it's played with no CONCACAF Champions League on the line. Like I think you can move it to a time when it's just good for both clubs. But I think Forge in particular should really want to play this game because a chance to go up against Toronto FC, who knows the next time that will come around for Forge. So I think as much
That
as it's possible, I think they should try and make this happen for sure.
I don't see why it wouldn't happen. I still think it's going to happen probably late December, if that's my guess. But I think that you make good points why they could move it. As George is kind of saying here, like, why not have 2 Voyagers Cups in 20? There, one more time. Why not have 2 Voyagers Cups finals in 2021, one in spring and one on the usual date? Like,
sure, yeah. I know we have a lot of fixture congestion, but I can't see why one game, especially even if it's, say Toronto FC and Forge are going into CONCACAF Champions League, like, why not? This is a perfect tune-up game, I think, for both of them anyway. So
that's a fair point. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it will happen in some capacity, but that remains to be seen. There's no guarantees in this year. Certainly, we've learned that. Let's. Sorry, go ahead, Michael.
I want to talk a little bit about TFC's potential next upcoming opponent, because we put out some polls on Twitter yesterday, and we also put out some polls on Wake in the Red too, and we actually got 2 kind of different sets of feedback. I remember we kind of had this discussion last week, and it was Montreal Impact who kind of, we all decided that would be Toronto FC's probably easiest sort of matchup there, or the preferred matchup.
Yeah, it was all about the impact.
Yeah.
Going back into it here, I think the results say our Twitter results. Yeah, our Twitter results kind of back them up. 56% say they do want the Impact. 37% say Nashville SC, and of course that leaves 6.3% the New England Revolution. So I think the consensus here is the New England Revolution is the last team that we want to face, because if we go over Wake in the Red, we look at the polls there, I think 50% have chosen Nashville versus I think 35, something like that, in Montreal, and the rest New England. So has your decision kind of swayed a little bit on which team you'd rather face if you're Toronto FC?
Nope. Give me the track meet, defense optional. We're not scoring enough goals for me to be too optimistic about going into a team with Zimmerman as a center back.
I still think I like Nashville. Go ahead, Mitch.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think Nashville stylistically is the best matchup. I just think from every other aspect, from the intensity. Again, I don't know if it could be played at BMO Field, probably won't, but the inter-Canadian aspect of it, I just like Montreal as, from a storyline perspective. But I do agree. I think Nashville, if you were betting on this game, I think you'd want Toronto FC to play Nashville.
See, like, the thing about that, Montreal, I think, again, just going back to last week, I think anything can happen in one of those games. But Nashville, there's something about the unknown. And there's something about TFC going up against the unknown where they don't have to really focus on something else. They have to focus on what they're going to bring to the game. And
that's a very fair point.
Going in with that approach against a team that's like unknown, like Nashville, versus a team versus Montreal, which they kind of have to game plan for because both teams know each other so well. That might serve them a little bit more justice, just because I think TFC on paper are one of the more talented teams in the field. So if even grounds you throw both teams out, I think TFC more than likely walks away.
Yeah,
that
I think
backline
that's fair.
scares me. That backline scares me. They're so stingy on defense, Nashville.
They're great. They're great.
And I think they didn't expect to sneak into the playoffs, so they're playing with house money. You know what I mean? Which means they can sit back and let the best parts of their team bunker. And TFC, like I said, we're not really tearing teams apart. So finding that 1 goal lead may be exceedingly difficult against the Nashville side.
Fair.
Yeah, no, I think it's certainly going to be interesting. We'll definitely preview it more on next week's show. I wanted to quickly talk about the playoffs as a whole, though, and who we might consider some contenders out of both conferences. Let's start with the East, who are just a couple teams who you guys feel are going to be very dangerous. We'll start with you, Michael.
I think New York City are kind of rounding into form at the right time. I think when they're healthy, they're a team that nobody really wants to play. We can just think back to when Toronto FC kind of faced New York City FC this season. That they did get the result obviously, but it was Alex Bono backstopping them to that, and it was a late, Justin Morrow kick into the box for a penalty in a game they were sort of dominated. We also saw at the MLS's back, just off the top of my head, they were ousted obviously by New York City FC in a the winner go home game. So New York City FC is obviously a team in the East that I think could be a dark horse and contender. Obviously the Union for sure, the Supporters Shield champions, but can they break that curse? Quote unquote curse. We'll see. What do you guys think there in the East?
The New York teams are always kind of boogeymen teams, but we've had their numbers, so I can't really be scared of NYCFC. I'm afraid of Orlando. I know everybody's writing them off as well. They had a good Disney tournament and they're crap now, but I'm afraid of Orlando. I'm not necessarily afraid of Philadelphia anymore. I think that there'll be a precipitous drop off as they've won the Shield, and they're a young team, and I don't know if
they're undefeated at home.
Yeah, Jeff's still counting out Philadelphia.
They're undefeated at home, and
all it takes is one, and then
they have home field throughout the playoffs.
All they have to do is lose one.
Yeah,
and then they go home.
I mean, yeah, sure, you can say that about anyone though, but
but
it's just more unlikely that Philadelphia doesn't lose than another team loses.
Yeah.
Sure. We've got a fully healthy TFC squad over any one of those three opponents. Yeah,
that's a fact. That's a fact.
Yeah, me too.
I'm with you on that. It's
Which
just a
brings
matter
us
of
to the Michael Singh injury report. Will we have a fully healthy TFC squad?
Yeah, right now, guys, your guess is as good as mine. I'll be honest with you there. The TFC have been pretty tight-lipped about that, but I'm sure we will get an update closer to. What I will say is I do agree with that. I think TFC on their day, if they're healthy, I think they take any one of those three opponents. Any team in MLS really. I think TFC can outplay, not even just beat. I think they can outplay. It's just a matter of we saw Jonathan Osorio come back last game, and he did not look great. It was his first game back after missing a couple, but he's obviously subbed off at halftime because TFC were down 2-0. But I also thought he was one of the culprits in TFC not moving the ball forward enough. I felt like he was settling to go back, him and Bradley both in the midfield. And when they bought on Ralph Priso, he was fantastic. So how long is it going to take for some of these guys who were injured coming back now to find their form? Same thing with Josie Altidore. Josie Altidore looked ineffective for the 40 minutes that he was on. I thought TFC were great in creating as soon as that second half. Michael Bradley had a breakaway that they built up, and then Josie Altidore came on, and I don't think TFC had a chance the rest of the game. I really don't think they did. I'm not even over exaggerating, which is pretty ridiculous seeing they had 5 building up to that. So how long are these guys going to take to, accumulate back into the squad? Hopefully this time we'll do them well.
Yeah, exactly. That is a big question.
Yeah, and not the kind of questions you want going into the playoffs, considering how important I think form is and that sort of thing. But they do have that time off, and like we said, I think those are all good points. Toronto FC definitely going to be a team that no one's going to want to play, even if they don't have that whole home field advantage, and even if again, we've seen in this league how important playoff experience is. There's a reason it's Toronto and Seattle every year in the final. They just know how to win those playoff games, and when it gets close, other teams haven't always proven that they're able to. And I did want to talk quickly a little bit about the Western Conference as well. Who are some of the sides you guys think might be coming out again? I think Seattle will always be tossed in there as a favorite. They haven't had the best year maybe, but they're definitely a dangerous side. For me, SKC as well. I think they're probably the favorites considering 6 wins in their last 8 matches. And I'll throw Colorado in there as well. For 2 reasons. I think one, obviously there's the TFC connection. They've got Frazier.
Everybody.
And yeah, exactly. Everyone who's left Toronto FC in the past couple of years has gone to the Colorado Rapids, essentially. But the other thing, 3 wins in their last 3 games, which I think is obviously huge going to the playoffs. But they had all that COVID time off, which wasn't great for some reasons, but also they're going to be the most rested team coming in these playoffs, and I think that could actually make a bit of a difference.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that also plays a factor in TFC's game. I think we've touched on this a couple of times now, but just the fact that there's going to be a team that played 4 days prior and TFC haven't played in 3 weeks, right? So that can come into play too. There's a bunch of factors, but at the end of the day, like, it's playoffs. Excuses are out the window. Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's go. Let's get the result. And
absolutely. TFC versus Montreal Impact or Nashville or New England Revolution, either or.
doesn't matter. And what I will say is I actually really like TFC's bracket. They dodge a couple of opponents there, and I can't remember off the top of my head. Just I don't have it with me. I wish I did. But I do like the side of the bracket that they're on. I think they're on the weaker side of the Eastern Conference there.
What did Matt Doyle posit? He posited first round Nashville, second round NYCFC. No, the conference final was NYCFC. There was somebody.
Yeah,
I think it might be Columbus second round. I think.
Yeah, it was Columbus.
It's likely.
It was Nashville, Columbus, NYCFC, Seattle.
right.
Party. Another cozy speech.
So, like, I think New York City FC, Philadelphia, they're both in the top half of that bracket. Orlando might also be in that top half too. I just remember feeling really good about TFC's past the MLS Cup finals.
And I noticed none of us mentioned Columbus Crew as one of the favorites, which, coming out of that MLS's back tournament, and certainly the first half of the season was clear. But I agree, they've been really bad over the past couple of months. And again, if we want to talk about form going into the playoffs, we've worried a little bit about Toronto FC's form going in. Columbus is even worse. I don't know.
Didn't Zelarayan win Newcomer of the Year though?
Oh, he's great.
Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah.
Well, they've got good players and they are a good side. I just think, between the teams we've mentioned, Orlando, New York, Philadelphia, Columbus is the one you want on your side of the bracket right now because, I just don't think that they have that next year that the other, 3 to 4 MLS Eastern Conference teams have shown to have.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a fair statement.
I think in the West too, just one more team I want to highlight quick is Portland. I think they're really, really good and they're tough to beat. They kind of play like TFC wanna in that midfield. They're just really, really tough to play against, and the teams, they make it tough on no matter which team they play. So I think they're a team that's sort of built for the playoffs there, and I wouldn't be surprised for them to make a run.
Yeah, I mean they lost Sebastian Blanco and they barely missed a step, so
they got depth.
You got to appreciate that kind of depth, absolutely.
Yeah, and of course already lifted a trophy this season, which I think is important. Let's finish up here with I guess just your biggest question mark for Toronto FC over the next week or so. What do you think is a bit of a concern going to these playoffs? I guess other than injuries, we'll take injuries off the table because that's the obvious one.
I was gonna say, what's the status of Pablo Piatti?
Yeah, me too. Yeah, that was me.
That's fair. All right, no, go ahead, go into that.
Yeah, I think what's the status of Pablo Piatti is the biggest question for me, just because of what he brings to the team. He's so important for TFC moving forward. He's so important for their offense. He's so important for just the flow of the game. I think he doesn't lose the ball very often. He works harder than anybody else on this team. He covers more ground than anybody else on this team. TFC have a lot of players right now that play in between the lines. Pablo Piatti is one of those players who runs through it, and has the ability to play in between the lines. So he just complements the squad so perfectly. So I think that's honestly the biggest question mark for me. We didn't really hear much about his injury when it first happened. We heard that he might be ready for the New York Red Bulls decision day fixture. And then we heard it might also be a playoff thing. So obviously it's going to be a playoff thing. It's just a matter, is he going to be ready for that first game? I'd be surprised if he wasn't in some capacity. He's like off the bench, just because it is a calf strain, and I think more than 3 weeks, probably like 4 5 weeks since it happened. He should be close to ready by now. If not, then that's a bigger concern for me. How about you guys? What's the biggest question for you? Form.
I mean, the last time we took an extended break from Hartford, we left a lot of points on the table, and it sort of spelled our doom for the last month of the regular season. So I'm worried about form. I'm worried about where we're going to be when we start playing competitive soccer again, and how long and whether or not we have the time to ramp back up to the best version of ourselves.
Yeah, if there's one thing TFC have, it's time. No, go ahead, Mitch. Go.
I think it's probably just starting on the front foot. I mean, we've just seen a Toronto FC side that's come out a little flat in their past couple of games, and I think I don't think it matters which opponent you're up against in the playoffs. If they come out strong and you come out flat, it's not 2 legs anymore; it's 1 game. So
yeah,
you got to come out intense, and you got to be ready to hit them early. I think Toronto FC can bury any side in this league if they come out in the right mentality and they come out in the right way and they have all the pieces there. But I don't think they've shown it. They've shown that enough this season. So that's got to be the big key for me, I think.
Yeah, that's a good one, Mitch. That's a very good one.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we'll wrap things up there. Next week on the show, another special edition is we'll give you a game day preview of Toronto FC's first round matchup against whoever that will be. We'll find out in a little bit, but huge thank you, of course, to Dyro for coming on the show. We got a little walking tour. We got a couple of things, but such is 2020 and the technology. So we do appreciate him taking the time. And of course, thank you as always to everyone who listened and interacted throughout the show. If you have time this week, go give us a quick rating and review on iTunes. We'd much appreciate that. And until next Tuesday.
Cheers, guys.